Alright guys, TacticalRab back again today. I hope you're doing well and enjoying your day so far. The drama has been everywhere the last couple of days, especially out of the Vegas Legion camp. Temp versus Pred, certainly some spicy stuff happening there, but also Clayster with several words for his own teammates during and after scrims. Could the chemistry within that camp already be starting to break down, especially if results don't go their way at the start of the season? Very much enjoy your thoughts in the comment section below. Hit the like button if you enjoy. Subscribe if you're new as always. I'd greatly appreciate it. It really helps out the channel. Thanks very much indeed for doing that one. Let's talk some scrim results then, because they've been going down the last couple of days. Quickly on prestiges. So we've seen in the previous recent games, I honestly haven't played pubs in like ages in the last couple of games, so I don't even really know how it works anymore. But I think the idea would be a new season would happen, your ranking effectively would reset. Now that's not going to be the case anymore. When a new season occurs, if you get to prestige 3 level 40, you start out again at prestige 3 level 40. So it's kind of more like the more traditional prestige system we used to have with actual prestige ranks going back. So I guess that's a pretty cool sign they're going back to something like that. Let's talk about some OpTic Scrims, because last night they played up against Boston, I believe. Again, we saw just the other day that, you know, Boston 6-1 versus FaZe, and also when I think OpTic played Boston last, it was 4-4. So the teams so far seem relatively well matched in their online matches. In fairness, last night a lot of the maps were pretty one-sided actually, and then they had to leave the scrim to go to an interesting CDL meeting. So they have these CDL meetings every so often the players have to go to. Whether anything happens in there, whether anything is done there, I don't know. I know that Crim6 has talked about these CDL meetings in the past and said that, well, if Scump doesn't go, then effectively it's pointless, right? Because if the CDL hears like a talking point that comes from all of the pros, or if they hear a talking point that comes from Scump, it has different weight in their eyes. So yeah, I believe Scump and the OpTic guys actually went along to this one. And we can see some of the results here, right? So 3-3 it was. They only got to play one of the control maps before that CDL meeting was in effect, so they had to dip out and go to that. So hopefully there was some interesting discussions being had there. Hopefully they actually came to some sort of reasonable conclusions about the way the season should be and can be, and I don't know what they talk about in those meetings. I know that Hex in the past has said that some of the owners' meetings he just doesn't bother going to anymore because nothing ever gets changed. He can say XYZ, doesn't matter what he says, the CDL aren't going to do anything about it. So he's actually felt like that before and has decided not to go to some of the meetings as a result. Maybe he now goes again, maybe with Daniel Sy at the helm, things are a little bit more productive there from the CDL side, and they have slowly over the last couple of seasons taken some steps. The season structure as it is now is significantly better than it was a couple of years ago. I think there's still more work to be done. We might still be like 2 years away from having a really good season format, but hopefully we get there at some point. Now, the pros may have been discussing stuff like that, or rule set, or map set, or whatever, because I'm sure they were wondering, like, look, can we play Hotel after Major 1? Can we even play Hotel at Major 1? What's happening there? That's, I'm sure, a big question the pros are raising right now. So they did play one Hotel map here in Control. These were the hard points that were going in OpTic's favor. In general, 3-2, lost the Control, 3-3, had to dip out to go to that CDL team meeting. Now, Vegas also are scrimming. They've been streaming everything. It's pretty good that Vegas and Clayster and also Boston, right, with Methods, have been streaming pretty much everything. The OpTic guys now have turned their streams off, as have some other teams, but some guys have still got it going, right? So you get a real interesting insight into Clayster and the team's perspective, and it was not exactly a surprise that things sometimes get heated within the kind of Vegas camp. It was expected coming into the season, big personalities in Clayster and Temp and, you know, TJ and Prelude as well, that if things go wrong, if things go badly wrong, you know, it's going to get a bit heated. That's how you expect it to be, and it's also how these teams generally have been, right? We know that Clayster's teams in the previous couple of years have had their internal issues at times, and like it's expected that the Vegas, if things go wrong, a similar thing could potentially occur. Now, if they're good, that might not well happen, but already we do tend to see on occasion that, you know, Clay versus Temp versus others can be some pretty heated discussions that go on behind the scenes. Now, it's just interesting to get an insight into this from the scrims, because this happens in most teams, right? Most teams behind the scenes, like when their scrims are over, you know, they can yell at each other if they made a mistake, or you think you should play it one way, I think I should play it a different way. So, you know, the discussions are being had, and often what they'll do is, you know, they'll mute their stream between matches so they can discuss strats and ideas and maybe even yell at each other without it being on stream. But sometimes you get to see this type of stuff mid-map. So Vegas was scrimming against a couple of different opponents. They played Ultra last night and they lost this one 2-4 before, I guess maybe they had to go to the CDL meeting after the map 1 of the Control. They also were playing up against Rokkr though, with one of the first 100-point clubs of the scrim season so far. Just thought this is pretty impressive in Vegas, putting Rokkr in the 100-point club. I believe Bance, there was a clip that came out on his stream the other day where he said that he reckons, Bance, that Vegas are one of the best, if not the best team in the game right now for what they've scrimmed. That's a few days ago now, but he reckons the Vegas are certainly in the ballpark of being one of the better teams. It's really tough to power rank teams right now based on scrim results because a lot of them are so similar, but Vegas have certainly been one of the more competitive teams, I think, so far. And these are just some other results to look through. So they beat Rokkr map 1, 150, 125. Then there was also the Boston versus Surge stuff going on. They won map 2 as well. They then won map 3 in that 100-point club, as you just saw. They lost map 4. Rokkr won this one. And then map 5, I believe, went Rokkr's way as well. And that was the final map that CDL Scrim Intel was looking at. Don't want to look at it in too much detail, but nonetheless, some interesting results, given the fact that Rokkr have also looked like one of the most competitive teams so far. So, wanted to share a couple of clips here. Firstly, from some other scrim sets here, where Vegas's comms were getting a little bit spicy. Some words from Clayster to Temp, some words from him to TJ Halley and the like, but also Temp and Pred. They were playing some 8s matches, I imagine, on stream. And look, I still think these guys are boys, but sometimes things go wrong, and things get pretty heated between the both of them, right? And Temp had some pretty fiery words to say for Pred, and there was some back and forth here, especially with regard to Pred's playstyle.
Bottom ass one shot.
There's no way we're playing this.
Bro, let's just go hard, bro.
I tried, dude, y'all 3 hit right arch when I said get maps control. 2 chowed when I said slow down. Like, dude, like, try and work together to get out of the trap.
Relax.
Well, don't tell me to just regain when I'm calling plays and everyone's just running around.
Bro, at least spawned in P5 and this guy's in the hit corner.
Yeah, iron up. Let's get some streaks.
Listen, bro, if somebody says to do something, make an effort to do it.
Top.
Got him top.
Right. Nice. I'm dead for the game.
Fine.
Wait, let's go.
I saw right, Dash. He's been mid. I didn't see anything.
Alright, challenge.
Across. He's on the left corner, in the left corner.
Bro, if you're not getting kills, at least calm, Tej. You're just not saying anything. Just dying. Like, if you're getting you need to work with your teammate.
Alfred, you're gonna have to throw some hands because you're not doing in the game right now. Holy get in the hill, bro! Get in the hill!
I can't play with you, bro.
Holy sh!
I actually can't play with
Bro,
you.
I have a minute and 30 seconds, bro. Just get in the hill on one hill.
I was begging to get on the hill.
Holy sh!
Dylan's like, nah, go away, bro. Like, what happened?
That's all you're giving us, AG?
Guys doing nothing on the map, but flanking. You guys literally flanking.
Gate. One more gate.
Shut the f up, bro.
One more gate.
Oh, balcony.
I have a streak for new.
You have to call that bitch, son.
Shut the f up, bro. One shot on the right. I think I'm joking too.
You gotta call that son.
Dumb bitch. Wait, you wait, bro.
Not gonna do shit.
Top right. Rip the f out of him.
Throw me in there.
Bitch.
So as I say, I still think these guys are boys, but look, things can get heated when things are on stream, when, players are playing with each other and tempers get flaring a little bit if things go a little bit wrong. Like, you get moments like this, which I thought were pretty entertaining. Interesting words from Temp in a way, just because I know that people will level similar accusations at Temp from last season and say, well, yeah, Temp was saying that Pred was just hitting the flanks, not playing the hill time, not playing the objective. Is that not exactly what Temp was doing last season to drop the good KD numbers on the Paris Legion to keep his spot? That's what some would argue. And Pred, as the Rookie of the Year last season, obviously deserves a fair bit of credit. But at the same time, does Temp have a point that Pred in that instance was not playing particularly well? That is, a reasonable question to ask, right? And even, this from the COD League back on the 5th of August, when Pred was confirmed Rookie of the Year. Like, obviously, as Temp says here, congrats, Alfred, get a kill today, buddy. So they've been having their fair share of banter over the last few months. They've played some 2K, I think, and stuff like that together as well. But still, interesting words from the two of them. Got pretty spicy. Everything seems to be getting pretty spicy right now, especially also within that Vegas Legion camp, right? The words that Clay had to say for Temp and also Clay for TJ, and even I think there was another clip that I saw where ProLuke dropped 1 kill and Clay still was basically laughing at him for getting 1 kill within the first couple of rounds. Pretty sure he dropped more than Doug over the entire map, but nonetheless interesting, right? So yeah, what do you guys think? Because if there's any team right now that is kind of streaming their practice publicly and we get to see an insight into the comms, the ones that are the most, let's say, well, precarious in terms of the team exploding is going to be the Vegas Legion. It's an expected thing. Temp and Clay, both big personalities. They're both going to disagree with each other on things, and we see from day one, really, when they're playing scrims, that stuff like this was going on behind the scenes there. Not really behind the scenes, in the public eye. And they don't really mind that, because that's the way they're going to manage their team, that's the way they're going to conduct things. I'm sure that even the Complexity team for back in Black Ops 2 and Ghost, they were yelling at each other in scrims if they thought they'd done something wrong. That's the way that certain players like to operate, and if the team can behave in that manner and actually get along with each other and believe, and understand that they're respecting each other's opinion, but yet, it might get pretty heated in some of these exchanges, changes, then I still think it can be a good thing for the team. But it does raise the question, seeing this type of stuff, as to how long bad results have to happen before this team, you know, goes down the pan. Now, I actually think that Vegas Legion this season have a decent chance of being a mid team. I don't think they're ever going to be a spectacular team, but I think they actually could be a pretty reasonable, you know, top 8 caliber team. It's actually a possibility. Maybe they even get better. Who knows? I'd love them to get a top 4 at Major 1. That'd be spectacular. But if they were to, let's say, start out the season well, and then things start to go a little bit downhill for them, then how long does it take for this internal stuff that obviously is happening, but isn't a big deal if the team is having good success? If these arguments are happening and yet you're losing every single league match, then that's when things devolve into chaos. We've seen it the last couple of years with Clayster's teams. That's just the way he is as a teammate. And when it's working well and when there's success being had, it's obviously very effective. But if success isn't being had, then these arguments don't just turn into constructive ones, but, you know, some resentment can start to form if the team is falling off. So definitely intrigued to your thoughts on that one in the comment section below. It's an interesting one because, like, they've got some big fiery personalities over there. The question is, can there be a mediator to a certain degree? Because certain teams, if you've got a mediating type player on there, then you can get around this type of stuff. Kind of like the New York team maybe from a few years ago in Black Ops Cold War. It was Clayster there. Like, obviously he was having the arguments with some of those guys, but then aBeZy was there, and maybe aBeZy at times has a bit of a calmer demeanor, so, you know, some of these issues can get calmed down. TJ might be that guy, and of course TJ's kind of vocal, I'm sure, behind the scenes as well. ProLoots, can he be the guy to do that, right, and try and diffuse some of the tension? That's where you need a good coach, really, is how it tends to be. If you've got Temp and Clay on your team, you're going to need someone to mediate those discussions. They've got Theory there as the coach. Is he doing a great job of man management within that team? It's going to be a critical role to nail on that roster. And even ProLoot was pointing out right here, when I see a trophy block a literal missile, like, it's kind of annoying that the trophy does this. If you could break the missile up into like a multiple parts, like a Hellstorm, like you could, to avoid the trophy systems, because this used to be a thing back in Black Ops 2. If you had a trophy system, it could kill an entire Hellstorm missile, but you could break the Hellstorm missile up into multiple other missiles, and then they can be blocked by the trophies. So that would be a nice change here to see. Might make that cruise missile slightly too strong though. Quick note on Parasite, filling in for Scraps' NA Challenger team. So Scraps, of course, the London substitute for this season. I guess all of those guys now out there in the US again to get ready for the upcoming season. I think even I saw Dominate yesterday was flying out there. Their head coach of the London team. So Hankey's actually subbing in for this. Pretty cool stuff. Going to be streaming 2 days of scrims after the first cup weekend as well. I'd love to see it. And just a quick note on this. Infinity War titles. Most major championships won here, as Brian Stats points out. Crimsix, we know he's the demon of Infinity War games. Won the World Championship in each of the 3 Infinity War titles. So Crim with 15 wins across COD 4. I guess he didn't even compete then. Modern Warfare 2 and co. Scump, Karma, Formal, as expected really over those few years. But even Aches up here at 8, as with Mercs at 8, who is tied with Formal over Infinity War titles. Then TP, Clay, Big T, and Rambo. And this type of stuff is going way back in the day as well too. You know, Modern Warfare 3 and even before. But very much intrigued to your thoughts on all this stuff in the comment section below. Hit the like button if you enjoyed. Subscribe if you're new. Take care. And I'll see you next time.